Linville, Major Frank Burns from MASH, and you're listening to the Ken Behrens Show on WJBC.
And as long as we hear from him, why don't we hear from another guy who really has a link with Bloomington Normal? McLean, Stevenson, good morning.
Ken, how are you? It's great to talk to you.
Boy, we had you on there for a second and lost you.
I thought, I thought I would get a better shot than that, but before we even started, I was cut off.
And it wasn't anything you said.
No, I was just glad, though. I missed who won the sponsor wheel. Was that something you played at around 9?
Yeah, well, let's see, we did it earlier today.
Oh, did you?
Didn't have a winner today, as a matter of fact, but that's actually called what you do, a little fill. A little fill. You've had to do that when you hosted the Tonight Show, you had to do a little fill once in a while.
Done a little fill most of my life. The Tonight Show, you really do it, because you get a guest on there that, contrary to what everyone might think, dries up after about 12 seconds. And when I was doing it, you could just shove them down the couch and bring out the next one because they weren't paying anybody that much money. But there were times when you would have to, as you say, fill.
Yes. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Nicholson, Larry Adler, and Colonel Henry Blake. I guess that'd be the one that most people remember you for.
Probably so. I've done 9 series in my life, and probably Colonel Blake was I think probably the pinnacle of my career. Everything after that was sort of worse than the thing I did next, so it was, but it's interesting. There were shows that I did, for example, from Norman Lear, and like for example, the Hello Larry, that was really a spin-off from One Day at a Time. And when we did it, I mean, we had some of the same writers as Bonnie Franklin did on One Day at a Time. The problem was that people just weren't ready to accept a guy having the custody of 2 daughters and in a divorce. So consequently, rather than doing the things that they did on One Day at a Time, which basically took place at home, we ended up going to the radio station where we did a lot of things with me just talking on the radio. And in deference to radio, people don't really care how it works. They just love to listen to it. Mm-hmm. So it was really, at best, kind of dull.
But today, had you brought it out now, it may have flown.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because I think now people are more willing to accept the fact that a father could have the custody of his 2 teenage daughters without it being salacious.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. Well, anyway, I heard Larry Linville's voice, and what a nice guy he is.
He had a lot of great things. I had a chance to work with him a little bit over at Conklin's at the barn, and he just had some great things to say about you, as I knew he would.
When we were doing MASH, we were kind of like family. We all loved one another, but there were many times we didn't like each other. And we would fight like cats and dogs, but if somebody from the outside world were to come in and say, we think your show stinks, en masse, we would have jumped, on him. Larry probably had the toughest job of any of us because... we had the movie, and I was kind of forced to because I didn't choose to do what Roger Bowman did, which was very good, but, to be a kind of a buffoon was not my idea of something that would last week after week. Major Burns, on the other hand, he really had a difficult role, and Larry's a great actor. I mean, he's a very consummate actor, studied at the Royal Academy in England and all.
Gee, that's what he told me. I didn't believe him, but if you say it.
Yeah, he was the Royal Shakespeare Academy. And, they kept changing his character. That one week they'd have him be more foppish. The next week they'd have him be more right-wing. The next week they'd have him be chasing after hot lips, and being very butch. It just drove him crazy. And finally, about halfway through the first season, he just said, "No, this is what Major Burns is. This is how Major Burns acts. So you guys start writing for that," and it worked for him. A lot of people don't realize that after the first 13 weeks, we were canceled.
It was the placement of the show, wasn't it, that saved you?
Well, no. We were canceled. We were. They said bye-bye.
That was it?
And everything, yeah. And because we were on Sunday nights, we followed Anne and the King, which was a show with Yul Brynner. And we were up against Daffy Duck and Dinner. I mean, we Disney on the one channel, which was a big show, and then people were eating dinner. And Anne and the King was really not a very good show, so we were just laying there. And what Freddie Silverman did in his infinite wisdom, rather than not rerun the shows, he reran them on Saturday nights. Those were all reruns that first year, the first 13 episodes. And so few people had seen them, they all looked new. We were on Saturday nights between Mary Tyler Moore and Bob Newhart and became very successful. And then we all renewed contracts and went back to work and started what was the second season, but really after having been canceled after 13 shows.
Yeah. Let me just bring this up, since we did talk about Hello, Larry, and, it's sort of in there with Jerry Van Dyke's My Mother the Car. Maybe it's not, I guess My Mother the Car is probably the worst TV show that's ever been on, right?
For sure. It's funny. You never start out to do a bad show. I mean, you don't say to yourself and your agent and your ex-wife, I'm going to do a bad show. I've got a chance here to do really a stinky, rotten show, and am I happy? In fact, you work harder on a bad show than you do a good one,
Yeah. Now, why did you leave MASH? I mean, you probably talked about it till you're sick of talking about that.
Not really. I haven't really discussed that too much. I plan to talk a little bit more about it in detail when my sister and I come in there to the Normal Theater on the 30th, I think it is,
Of September.
Of September, yeah.
Okay.
And but I think what happened is I maybe got a little too big for my britches. I kind of thought that people really had fallen in love with McLean Stevenson, when the fact of the matter was they'd really fallen in love with Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake. And I left because NBC offered me more money than Bloomington had made the year before. Mm-hmm. So that's why I left, basically for money.
Okay. And, who could blame you for that?
No, I wouldn't think anybody could.
Yeah.
But like Satchel Paige, I think it's wise for nobody to look back. Because there's always somebody back there following you. I don't regret having left. I regret having never been able to do anything near the quality of MASH or to work with the actors as good as those.
Yeah. I have to tell you this. I thought you would have been a great replacement for Carson if Carson would have retired.
Well, of course, there was a lot of that going on back and forth. I mean, every time Johnny threatened to leave, which was about every 2 years, they would give me a call, and I'd end up doing 2 weeks of shows, and then...
And they were hilarious.
Well, Johnny didn't sign because of me or Bob Newhart or Bill Cosby, but he would get the money that he wanted, and then I would, get a pat on the back and free trip to Disneyland, and that would be the end of it for me. So it was, but it was fun doing it, and I think that I had a quality maybe that a little bit like Johnny's, although he's the best that's ever done it, I think. Because I really was in awe of about 95% of my guests. I mean, for me to sit there and being kind of a late bloomer in this business anyway, and find myself talking to Jimmy Stewart, I was just totally in awe.
Yeah.
I think that probably showed.
I think that's my problem trying to watch some of the late shows these days. They have guests on I've never heard of, and I don't care.
Well, yeah, and
and they don't have anything to say.
Well, most of the guests too are almost the same age as the host, and there's something that's kind of I don't know. It's like talking to your peers or something. I just enjoyed the every time Bob Hope came on. He would always be on a Friday because he had a special that Sunday night, so you knew why he was...
Yes, he was there to plug it.
Yeah, but to just be able to talk to him was, a joy. I just, I loved every minute of it.
Yeah. Well, you were fantastic on it. I'll tell you what, let's talk about what's coming up here with McLean. McLean is going to come back to town to help the Normal Theater, which has been restored. It's a beautiful, beautiful theater.
Right.
And you're going to be here September 30th at 8 o'clock. To do a show with your sister, who is no slouch in the entertainment business either.
Do you hear me interrupting you? I have been going, Ken, whoa, yo.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that.
Oh, well, don't you have earphones on?
Yeah, but I couldn't hear you.
I'll be a son of a gun. Well, maybe Mr. Ives can work that out so that possibly you could hear who you're talking to.
I'm sorry.
Talking about low pay and lots of hard work. You've been doing that now, for 25 years there at WJBC?
Say this louder, would you?
25 years.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I think Tim Ives, and they should, either Tim should personally give you a raise out of his own pants, and is a many times over multimillionaire, and or if that doesn't work, then we'll come back another time and have a telethon and raise some money for you, because you deserve to get something for staying there for 25 years. That's incredible.
Man, I knew there was a reason I liked you.
Well, no, but I mean, you're good. I go to a lot of places. I listen to a lot of radio. And I think that WJBC, from way back when I was little, I mean, I go back to the days when Stretch Miller and Jack Buck were doing bingo at the Majestic Theater on WJBC.
That does go back a ways.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I don't know that the people in Bloomington really understand the history of WJBC. There have been some of the greatest people in radio come out of that station. And yet you're the only one
who didn't.
And it surprises me. I'm just... All right, back to the Normal Theater.
Yes. Were you really saying, Ken, well, because maybe, we got disconnected before we even got started here.
I was interrupting you, and I think probably people maybe heard me even though you didn't, and they wondered, why is McLean going berserk on the phone and Ken is just plowing ahead with the normal theater stuff?
Okay.
So at the risk of sounding rude, I wanted to explain that to the folks, and then also that possibly you should get a new set of earphones. Next, when I come in Bloomington, I'll get a pair of those things off the airlines, even though I'll probably be riding coach. And I'll pop for the $4 and get you some earphones.
Would you? The problem is, I think those work on air. I don't think there's any wires in those.
Oh, okay.
But it's a good thought. It's a thought that counts.
To the 30th.
It's 11:18 in the morning. McLean's. Let me break for this. We have to pay the light bill.
Yeah.
And McLean Stevenson, Bloomington Normal Zone, is on the line from his luxurious spread in California. You have a nice place out there, I understand, huh?
Can you hear me talking now?
Yeah.
I was interrupting you before.
Yeah.
Okay, see, my coming back after these commercial words is a real tease because people are going to be hanging by a thread waiting to hear this news. I'll go to the commercials.
All right.
Attention corn growers. Corn rootworm beetles and Japanese beetles are emerging and could have a major impact on your yields by clipping the corn silk before pollination. Check your fields. Stop beetle damage with 7-brand XLR Plus Carbaryl insecticide. 7-brand XLR Plus offers fast knockdown, residual control, and excellent wash-off resistance from rainfall or sprinkler irrigation. Stop corn rootworm beetles, Japanese beetles, and other pests fast with 7-brand XLR Plus.
Okay, it's not a big show. It was a short string of commercial, as a matter of fact. I really tried to clean some of these out and get them out of the way so we'd have time to visit with you, Mac.
That's great.
You mind if I call you Mac?
Not at all.
Okay.
That would be, anything. Just, so that it's not, an error or indecent. I really respond to almost anything now. When you get to be my age, that anybody recognizes you. No. To the 30th.
Do you run around with a pad and ready to sign autographs and that kind of stuff?
I'll tell you something. I have never said no to that because, if people forget who you are or don't want your autograph in our business, you're really in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So, where somebody who's been working in the last 10 years may sign thousands of these a day, I'll sign 1 or 2 a month, and I'm delighted.
You still are working. You were the First Alert spokesperson.
Spokesperson for First Alert. I'm directing some episodes of Seinfeld. I'm busier now than I've ever been.
Wow. When did you start directing Seinfeld? I should pay closer attention, I guess.
Well, no, not really. It's just, the director is probably the most important as far as the script and the cast is concerned, but as far as Joe Popcorn eating public, I don't think it matters who directs. In fact, these things flash by so quickly because now you have only 22 and a half minutes to do a half-hour show. So nobody really cares who served lunch or directed,
But it's an important job because you're the one that calls the shots.
Well, it's important as far as I'm concerned because when I go to Ralph's, which is our big supermarket out here, they're real happy to see the cash. Got a 13-year-old daughter who's learned that, the mall is truly the way of life. So I got to keep working. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You ever going to talk about the 30th?
Let's get around to that.
Okay.
The 30th of September is the day that McLean Stevenson will be here, along with his sister, who is an actress in... she's done a lot of stuff in Chicago, but she's been in movies too, hasn't she?
I've done about 3 movies, and you can forget all 3.
You were in a Disney film, weren't you?
Yeah. The Cat from Outer Space. That was a winner.
That was one I was trying to come up with, yeah.
Oh, boy, that was a dude. Fun. I mean, it was work. In our business, I'm convinced that there's an awful lot of people that could be successful in this business, but just couldn't handle rejection and weren't patient enough to wait. Because I'm convinced there's a lot of us that have been fairly successful, at least financially, just because we were willing to accept the rejection and hang around.
Yeah.
But in any event, yeah, I did that movie.
But you have to have some talent too.
Well, it doesn't hurt, but gee whiz. There's probably a lot of shoe salesmen and stuff out there that have talent that just couldn't handle the waiting. Who are we talking about?
We were talking about Ann Whitney, your sister?
Sure, of course.
Mm-hmm.
No, Annie has done, she did The Fugitive, she did Home Alone. She's done a lot of good stuff. The amazing thing about it is I was a late bloomer. She really was a late bloomer and raised 4 children and all of that. And when they sort of became able to take care of themselves, she decided that she was going to be an actress and get her feet wet. And she is tremendous. I've seen her in a number of things, and it's very hard when you're seeing a family member, somebody that you love, and do something because you're afraid you're always going to think of them as your sister or whoever. But the first time I saw Annie in a play, I don't really think she knows even today how good she is. I totally forgot that she was my sister and became so involved with the character she was playing.
That's a real compliment.
Oh, yeah, she's really good. She really is. And she's going to come back. Well, what we're going to do is we're coming there on the 30th to raise funds to finish the restoration of the Normal Theater. And that's a great theater. I went there as a kid because I went to Thomas Metcalf. And it's a great theater now because it not only is restored as to what it used to be back in the 30s, but you're seeing classical films. You're seeing great stuff. And that's an opportunity for a town the size of Bloomington Normal. There are a lot of major cities that don't have a theater like this.
That's exactly right.
We're going to come back in, and people are going to pay for tickets and stuff, and Annie's going to come down with a really fine actor from Chicago and do some things that she's done, and then I'm going to come out and kind of make a fool of myself for 45 minutes or an hour, and then she and I will come out together and do some stuff. So it's going to be a fun evening, and I hope that people will support it because it's a great cause. It is.
They are, as a matter of fact. The tickets are $100.
Wow.
$100 a seat. And they also offered, I should make the announcement here, they were offering $150 tickets, which included a dinner before the show. They had 100 of those to sell. They are sold out.
Oh, wow, that's good. And that will be at the Steak and Shake, you say?
I'm not sure where it's going to be. It may be at Taco Bell, Steak and Shake, wherever. No, it's actually going to be in the home of one of the people who's planning this.
That sounds fun, yeah. Well, you know, I got to tell you, and this is sort of embarrassing, but the committees that have been running this are all made up of volunteers, and they're just the sweetest people. Many of them are friends of mine, and we're schoolmates and so forth. My stepmother recently passed away in Bloomington.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, well, she was quite ill and had lived a real good life, and it was, you know, if she went very quietly and all of that, and it was nice. But we had a very small, very simple service for her out at the Park Hill Cemetery. And in fact, just my stepsister and my stepbrother and I were there for that service, and then Monday there was a memorial at the Second Presbyterian Church. But in any event, right after the little service was concluded out at the mausoleum, this gentleman came over and introduced himself to me. He said, "I'm Mr. Nafzinger, and I'm with the XYZ Funeral Parlor." And I said, "Well, thank you very much for a really great service." And he said, "You know, they're charging $150 to see you and your sister." I said, "I beg your pardon?" He said, "There's 150 big ones. You're going to have to pay that to see you and your sister." I said, "Gee, Mr. Nafzinger, I don't know if I'm, you know, I can get funny up to about $75, but I don't know if I can go the other 75. And that's
25, the other 25.
Well, it was 150.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
You see, Ken, 75
and 25 would be 100, but if you want, yeah.
Uh-huh.
The dinner is what would be the other 50, so you're only responsible for $25 more.
Do me a favor. Shut up.
Sorry.
Right in the middle of a story, the man...
I blew it, didn't I?
The Math 101. Anyway, it's out that he is the husband of one of the co-chairs of this. And just a really sweet guy. And I was kidding him all the way from where we were out to the car and everything. That, gosh, I'll get some really dynamite material and stuff, and I won't let the people down. But I think the truth of the matter is, whether it's 150 or 100 or whatever, because that all goes into the restoration of a landmark in Bloomington Normal. Because I go back to the days when Shorty Payton had a barbershop underneath the Normal.
You got your hair cut in the basement, as I understand.
That's what we used to do. You get a haircut and then go see the movie in the afternoon.
I had my hair cut there when I was going to school.
Did you?
Sure.
Where did you go to school?
Illinois State University.
Did you? Boy, I'll tell you something. I was back there, as I said, for my stepmother's funeral service, and there's a bunch of stuff that I couldn't believe how big Normal's got, let alone Bloomington. The town is geared, for the students, and when I was at Thomas Metcalf, there were maybe 800 students. It was then called Illinois State Normal University. It was a teacher's college.
You are really an old guy.
Now, tell me, and now it's 30,000 people there?
They've tried to limit the number at the university a little bit. They brought it down a little bit because it was getting a little unwieldy, I guess.
Oh, boy. Well, that's an awful lot. It's a big, huge university.
Yeah, and the community's growing. I mean, we're making cars besides beer nuts now, you know.
Beer nuts and cars. I tell you, the one thing that you got to work out, though, I rented a car, And in driving around Bloomington, I can remember when we used to put one arm out the, side of the car and had one of those little plastic discs on the steering wheel, and you'd put a stick-on tattoo and drive around the courthouse. Well, now you can't do that anymore because of the traffic. Yeah. I got so lost, it was unbelievable. I wanted to come out of Jumer's and go to the Steak and Shake, which you could hit with a stone.
Yeah.
Jumer, okay? I made the mistake of turning right, and I ended up just a little bit south of Towanda. Then I came back in, and I'm in downtown Normal. I mean, it was unbelievable.
It has changed.
Oh, boy.
Even for people who live around here, if you don't go on all the streets, you may get a little confused sometimes.
Great. It's a great, great town.
We will have somebody probably chauffeuring you around, though, won't we, when you get back here, so that you will be at the theater on time?
I'm going to rent a car, but we do have a ride.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but I think Johnny Verko is coming to buy in a pickup truck and going to take my sister right out to the theater.
Okay, whatever works. I'll tell you, you can stick around a little while yet, can't you?
Yes, I can.
McLean Stevenson is on the line from California, where he is working with Seinfeld and all kinds of people these days. Also the First Alert representative, and I understand you really wanted to get that Maytag repairman job, because that looked like a real energetic thing.
Oh, that's Gordon Jump. I'm going to let him take that one. I don't want to just put makeup on in a funny suit anymore. I really don't. I enjoy going to Seinfeld. I can my funny old shoes and my jeans and a dumb shirt, and everybody likes me. I go to First Alert because I'm the national chairman and spokesperson for the Children's Burn Foundation. I was a burn victim when I was 6. I accidentally set fire to myself in Bloomington, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been working the last 10 years with children who are badly burned and disfigured and trying to get some semblance of life and order back in their lives.
Well, you're to be commended for that, I think.
Well, it's been a good thing for me. It's been, it's something that I'm truly interested in doing, and it's most worthwhile. What I think people in this country don't realize is, we all raise tremendous sums of money for all these various charities, like Jerry Lewis's muscular dystrophy, et cetera, and yet if you were to take every child who died as the result of those dread diseases, everything from crib death to leukemia to muscular dystrophy, and added them all up in any given year, it wouldn't come to half of the number of children who are burned to death in this country. And so we've still got a lot of work to do there.
Okay. McLean, hang on. We'll break for the news.
Got it.
Then let's open the phone lines, because I know a lot of people would love to talk to you.
Oh, I'd love that.
All right. McLean Stevenson's with us. Join Dan Swaney Saturday from 11 to 2 for the used car sale at Parkway Mitsubishi. Enjoy free hot dogs from Bloomington Meats and buns from Kroger, and find some outstanding deals. That's Saturday, 11 to 2 at Parkway Mitsubishi. By the way, if you want to get tickets for the normal theater performance of McLean and his sister, and also the other actor's name is Bob Harris.
Yep.
He'll be here as well. You can call 454-2444. They have the $100 tickets available. The theater seats, 425. Help me out on the math here, McLean. 425 minus 100 would leave 325 seats that are available for the $100. And I know some of those are gone already, too.
Are they really good?
Yeah. So give them a call and make your arrangements to be there. It should be a fun evening. We have news next, and we'll visit more with McLean Stevenson.
WJBC News, good morning. I'm Colleen Reynolds reporting it's 80 degrees at 11 account.
We're back with McLean Stevenson. You actually know the fight song, don't you?
Yeah, Bloomington High School. Yeah, Bloomington, we love thy name. We will bring thee greater fame. But speaking of corn, man, that was one of the jobs I had, detasseling. You're selling Pioneer corn. Have you ever detassel corn?
I've never done that, but I know they do a lot of it around here.
Oh, man, you sit up there with 8 kids on summer vacation, right? And you pull, there are 6 rows, 2 on the outside, 4 in the middle, and 2 on the outside. Now, this was my first introduction to sex, by the way. The 2 outside rows are males, and the inside rows are females, and when the wind blows, they pollinate and have babies, or like baby corn or whatever they have. And you got to pull those tassels off those males before they pollinate the females.
Yes.
So you do that all day on a front of a tractor that's burning diesel fuel and the wind's blowing the wrong way. Man, you get home, you are really tired. I'm telling you, that's work.
I bet. Plus, you have a whole new confused aspect or outlook on sex, I suppose, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And you got not only do you know a lot more about sex, you have a terrible sunburn, and you do learn to speak a little Spanish, because all of the bosses were guys that migrated up that were laborers. They'd work through detasseling, tomato picking, and then they'd go up north and pick cherries in Michigan. So it was quite an experience.
Yeah. We have some people on the line that want to talk to you. Vern Prensler, good morning.
Good morning. I remember a funny guy at BHS by the name of Max Stevenson, and I think he's the same guy I met at a Gap store out in Glendale, California last year.
How you doing, Vern?
Good. Mac, good to listen to you this morning. I personally want to invite you to our class reunion, which is next year. And by the way, if you come back next year, we could maybe have this telethon that you were talking about for Ken Behrens.
Yeah, try to get some money for him.
Yeah, 26th year.
Yeah.
So
I'd love it, yeah.
Yeah, but we're going to have it at Jumer's Hotel, by the way. You mentioned that in the program this morning.
I was hoping I'd get a free room when I came in on the...
I think we could arrange that. Well, we really would love to have you, and we've got a great group of people in that class. And
what year would that be?
Oh, that's the 50th.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So, but you'll meet a lot of great people, and we'd love to have you.
Well, I may think about that one. I'd just love to come back and see how everybody's doing. I mean, that would be exciting.
Well, we're going to have some great parties, and we've got a lot of great grads of BHS here in Bloomington, as you know. Yeah. So, really have enjoyed your program this morning, and think you've done a great job, and we're certainly very proud of you.
Well, good. Thank you. That's nice of you to say, and I'm glad we did get to meet in the Gap and not to talk too long. I was just saying earlier in the show that my daughter has now discovered the mall.
Right.
And so that's where we were, I think, in the Glendale Galleria, weren't we?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I hope we see you next year, and again, we'll plan to have a little benefit for Ken Behrens.
Yeah, I think we should do that.
That'd be great. Yeah, as long as it's done in good taste.
Okay.
Thanks. Of course, don't forget September 30th, the big date here too, when McLean is coming back to town. Who do we have over here? Jeff. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Stevenson. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Jeff?
Doing good. I've been a big fan of yours. I've born and raised here in Bloomington since you were on MASH.
Right.
And two quick questions for you. First of all, how did you get started from Bloomington, Illinois?
Yes.
And will you come back and do a show for us that doesn't cost so much?
I tell you, those are both nice things, and let me address both of them. One, when I left Bloomington, I went to Northwestern, and with a couple of years out for the service, and then for about the better part of 9 years, tried 8 different careers. I did everything but I was in the management training program at State Farm. I worked for American Hospital Supply in Evanston. I was assistant director of athletics at Northwestern. I couldn't find anything I could do well. So I figured, rather than going around in my personal life with a lampshade on my head, I'd just go to New York and try show business, and that's what I did. As far as coming back, I've always felt kind of awkward coming back, and I've been asked a number of times to come back, and we do this and we do that. What we can, where the wishing well is?
Yeah, I sure do.
Do you?
Yep.
Okay. Well, some night we'll go over there at the wishing well, have a couple of beers, and.
Well, it's not the wishing well anymore.
Oh, it isn't?
No, it's Schooners now.
Right.
Schooners. Well, all right. If I can find Johnny Brokaw, I can find Schooners.
But they still serve up the beers, so.
Okay, great. Well, then we just get together and leave your number there at the station. I'll give you a call and we'll have a beer or something.
That sounds super.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. WJBC, you're on with McLean Stevenson. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mac.
Hi, how are you? Who's this?
This is R.A. Roberts.
How are you, R.A. Roberts?
Rusty.
Yes. How you doing, Coach?
Well, I'm still alive, anyhow.
Oh, my God. You were at Bloomington High School for how long?
40 years.
Oh, my God.
I quit way back in 71.
We were talking with someone just a minute or so ago about the class of 1946 is going to have its 50th reunion.
Yep.
And that would, that brings back memories of guys like Bobby Gibson and Pete and Bump and all of that, Elliott. But I can remember, I never did graduate from Bloomington High School, nor did any of the other seniors, because we were over there with Howard Sarr playing in the state baseball tournament.
That's right.
And we won our first game Friday night, and we all thought we were going to get to stay in a motel or something that none of us had ever done anyway. And nope. We were in our uniforms. We drove back to Bloomington, went back the next day and played Lane Tech, and they beat us. But that was a school as big as normal. So consequently, I missed Friday night. I missed the graduation.
I was going to give you an opening mentioning that you were a baseball pitcher and buddies with Howdy.
Yeah, golly, Well, how long did you coach? Did you coach all the years you?
Well, I left that in '49.
Oh my gosh, I remember. You were a good one.
Well, tell you never went off for freshman sophomore basketball, so I never got a chance to cut you.
I know. That was just too. There was Eldon Volk. Was he with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Long time.
Yeah, I remember. God, I remember those days, and I can remember you guys going over, and I think maybe a sophomore or so, maybe a freshman, and you were playing in the sectional. You played over with Pete Elliott was playing at Bump, and you played Pekin. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
And just
Peoria, I think it was.
Yeah, missed going over to the state by 2 points at the buzzer.
Yep, Bump and Pete played. I think Rolly Marston. I don't remember the rest of them.
Hey, I remember what I was really proud of. I picked up the sports page one day and saw that U-High, the Pioneers, won the state basketball tournament.
They've had quite a year out there.
That is great.
I lost wonder why you didn't go to U-High. You went to Metcalf.
Well, I don't know. I think it was mostly because of Bobby Gibson. Bobby was a neighbor, and he was going to Bloomington High School, so that's where I decided I'd go to. And I'm glad I did, because I remember some of the teachers, and it was I was so sad when I was home just recently. I went down there and took some pictures of the building,